Hey everybody, I had a great ride yesterday. I did the full route, including the run in. And so that's very specific. It's a brand new run in, which I'll talk in just like 3 seconds. And then we'll jump into the actual ride itself. But, this year was all about trying to get speed on a very difficult course to get speed. Last year, when I did this course, I really just wanted data. I wanted to see if I could pace it, and I did. Like last year, I brilliantly paced it, and so that was last year. But this year was about to get speed, right? It's one thing to have a perfect, quote unquote, perfect pacing strategy. It's another thing to get speed, right? It's not about the watts. Watts don't win races. Speed wins races. And this is a very difficult course to try to get speed on. So that's what I did on Sunday. First of all, before we jump into that, let's look at the actual run into this thing. So we've got a brand new run in, and so instead of just running through here like we did last year, going up around the Taubman Museum, this year, according to what's up on the website as of this weekend, we do this detour through Fallon Park, come through, hit Dale Avenue. Dale Avenue transforms into Jameson. This is pretty busy. There is like a very narrow bike lane through here, but typically this is really busy. So if you're going to go out there, be super careful. Now here's the kicker. So when you go around this corner, there's about a 0.4 mile, 0.5 mile stretch. That's about 4 to 5%. There's no shade right here. This is all really super black asphalt. So this is really going to be hot. This was unexpected, and I expect that we're going to see people walking this hill. So just go out there, look at it, get a visual, and be mentally prepared for this last climb. And then the route comes through, goes over the bridge, goes through, make sure you see the Elvis. That's where Graceland is, and you have the Golden Elvis right there. And then you run into town, Blue Cow, grab some ice cream, not during race, and then we finish right there. And so it's a brand new run in, so make sure that you guys get out there and check it out. Okay. So the whole thing with, getting speed is, here's your scenario. So this is a great scenario. So, this course is all up and down. And so what can we do? It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. So here you have, a great set of rollers. So how would you pace this and strategize to do this set of rollers? And this is a great general way that, when you think about these rollers, this is kind of a general way to start thinking about getting speed. Getting speed is highly independent on so many variables. The type of bike you had, the type of athlete you are, your phenotype, if you will. So many things, your weight on race day. So you have to take this as a general piece of advice. So here we go. We got this. So what is this? What's going on in cycling? Okay, so there you are. You're having a great day. Virginia Blue Ridge, Ironman, just having a great day. You got a lot of power. Thing is, you got some things working against you. You have the gravity working against you. If you're going flat, your biggest thing is going to be your aerodynamic drag and then rolling existence. And so this is pretty much the scenario that you have to fight. And then when rolling distance, the idea is that smoother is faster. So I'm old school. I used to pump up my tires to 120 PSI. And then, I'm out there on a course, I'm out there on a run, and I'm feeling every little bump. The problem is that you're going up and down, you're not going forward. If you want to run 120 PSI, make sure that you are riding on a glass smooth track, right? When you have the type of the type of route that we have out there, you're going to be like this with 120 PSI. So smooth that out. So I actually had 85 PSI. I have wide 25 millimeter rims, 25 millimeter tires. And so I had a really smooth ride. And smoother is faster because you're going forward, not up and down like this. So that's really key. All right, so the first thing, here's what happens. All right, so you go up on a thing. And so you still have the gravity, you have the power, obviously you have the gravity. The aerodynamic drag, because you're going slower, gets much less, and then you have your rolling resistance. So basically, when you're going up a hill and you want to increase your power by or your speed, right? We're talking about speed. If you want to increase your speed by a factor of 2, you have to multiply your power by 2. So you're going 10 miles and you're going 200 watts. That gives you 10 miles an hour up this climb. And you want to go 20 miles an hour, then you have to double that to 400 watts. Now what happens? You're on a flat or you're going down. Your 200 watts gives you 20 miles an hour. And say you want to go from 20 miles an hour to 40 miles an hour, then you have to go 8 times the power to get speed, okay? And then you're going to have the gearing to be able to go 40 miles an hour on a flat or a downhill, which would be massive size gearing. So basically, what does this tell us? What does this general physics basically tell us? Is that, if you want to go and your goal pacing is 200 watts, that you basically, when you come to a climb, you go a little bit harder. When you're on a flatter descent, you go just a little bit easier. You don't let off the gas, you go a little bit easier. And so how would this look on these rollers? Basically, the general rule of thumb is climbs over 3%, consider adding 10%. Descents over 3%, consider reducing 10%. And here I really got to make a source for these, sort of a footnote, is that, Tim Cusick, legendary coach, huge influencer on me. He was, just reading him and looking over his stuff. He's a guy that really helped me put this together. Not that he was standing on or looking over my shoulder, but just studying him for a period of years. He's a fantastic coaching when it comes to time trialing, when it comes to paced efforts. He's absolutely totally amazing dude. Okay, so say you want to do something like this at 200 watts, okay? So consider this. So on the climb, you're doing 220. On the flat or sort of a descent, a 180. Coming back, 220. On the flat again right here, maybe 200. Going down the other side, 180. Remember, the whole goal is to get speed. And so where can you get speed on the course? For most of us, the best place that we're going to get speed is on, anytime that it's going up, we're going to get speed. When we get to a point like this, where we have a big descent like this, we're at 200 watts right here, I'm giving it the gas. I'm like 400, 500 watts to get up to speed as quickly as possible. And most importantly, when it comes to those descents, I'm not laying off the gas at all. Only when you get up to like 34, 35, 36, then you might want to just crouch and stop pedaling. But on this course, there's only going to be a couple of spots where you're going to get going that fast, and you have to keep on the gas. So that means you don't want to blow yourself up on the climb, right? When you're pacing these efforts, and I'll put in my show notes a couple of videos I did on pacing, particularly the Virginia Blue Ridge Ironman of last year, right? You're only at 75%, 75 to 85%. You have this floor of somewhere between 75 and 85% that you want to do, especially if you're going to do the run afterwards, okay? And so what I'm talking about here is, the 220, this means, we're at the upper level of our ceiling. Here we're at the floor. Here we're at the ceiling again, here at the floor. And then here we're at the floor again, but we're not letting the floor fall out. And so now how would this look like on the course itself? Well, right here, we're coming out of the cove. Here's what I would do, and here's what I did. So I would simply warm up. You're not going to win this race right here, but last year I saw a lot of people hurt themselves coming out of this cove just by studying their race, their data, and reading their comments, okay? So this is a great place just to warm up. By the time you get up to that stoplight, not a stoplight, there's not there, but there's that gas station when you come out of the cove. That's a great place just to relax, okay? Just to have a good time. And then you're out on the course, just you're still relaxing, but right here, because we have this long sort of climb up into Troutville, and I believe this high point is Troutville, because there's a bomber long descent out of Troutville. You know, this is a great place. You're relaxed. You're just giving it a little bit more gas, and then you're just slightly, you're playing the bottom of your zones right here. You're playing the bottom of your pacing strategy, and then give it the gas right here, let off just a little, give it the gas, let off. And then for this climb, you know, this is where you really have to understand yourself, because the theory says give it a little gas, but that's just too long to give it a gas for that climb, right? It's just too long, and you really can destroy yourself and hurt you on the run. Now, my idea was for this is relax, have a good time on that climb, play the climb at the bottom end of your pacing strategy, because you have that run. So this is where you're using to fuel up, relax, stretch your neck, relax your arm, unzip your jersey, you know, so that you can go up. But really make sure that by the time you got to that climb, you're feeling good. You're not like, whoo, climb is over, oh my God, and then just relax and rest on the descents. And that I play it opposite, is to make sure that it feel good at the top of that climb, because you have a long race ahead of you. And that's kind of a great mental place to get yourself back into the game, especially if you had, you know, a bad swim, if things happen wrong, or you had a bad first section of this ride. This is a great long period to get your mind back into the game. Okay, so boom, right? So my pacing strategy was 260 watts. So I came out of the cove looking at my data, boom, 260 watts. I was right here. I was average 260 watts. I got all the way down to here. I was 260 watts. And remember, I'm going easier, harder, all the way down. So to this whole thing, my goal strategy for the whole ride was 260 watts. Boom, right here, I'm at 260 watts. Did a great ride up this climb, 260 watts, feeling good. Then I jammed it down here, right? I jammed it on this right here. I did not lay up at all. I got over this. I had a spike, came down, boom. Then I did that, you know, I was at the upper edge of my pacing strategy right here. Then I laid up a little bit, but not hardly much at all. Same thing all the way up here. Then boom, right here. For this whole thing, my pacing strategy was 260. I'm at 260 right here. Then on this long climb, I only got up to 42 miles an hour. There will be people who can do, you know, not extended amounts of time. It's sort of like just for a second or two that you get up to 55. And then the road, it just never gets that steep. So on this day, this was an extremely windy day. The fastest I could get up to was 42 miles an hour. Now remember, my whole goal for this is speed. So I'm on a non-aero bike. I'm doing everything that I can to keep my elbows tucked, to stay down. There was a terrible headwind all the way from the Cove all the way to Buchanan. And it was all I could do just to keep my head down and just rock it out. Then by the time we got up to right here, you know, I really jammed this really well, and I only lost about 1 watt. So right to right here, I was at 260 watts. By the time I got down here, I was at 259 watts. So I really paced it well. Once again, I gave it the gas here, let off, gave it the gas, let off a little bit down through here, and then that's where we do this run into town, where I lost some watts just because I was in traffic. There were stop signs, stop lights, but still overall I did have a really solid, great ride. And so this is that kicker at the very end, that 9th Street kicker, and you really have to watch out for that, because I wasn't prepared for it, and it took me off guard. And then there was my pacing strategy, and you can see like I had some efforts right here, some warming up efforts, and then right here I go over the top, my power goes up, I go over the top here, my power goes up, and then boom, and then the run into town, I'm just all over the place with my watts because I was moving in traffic, I was in the other lane, all that great stuff. So, guys, I hope that helps. Again, in my show notes, I'll put the links to those other two videos that I did. But other than that, if you have any questions, here's my contact information. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much, everybody.